What's going on, guys? Still 19 here, and I wanted to talk about Overwatch and where it's going as a game. It seems to me that Overwatch has constantly and continuously put out failure after failure. And it seems that the updates they keep putting out and all these new game modes are just reskins of other game modes that there are. For example, this new, what is it called? It's not Push, but it's very much like King of the Hill. It's like Hardpoint, essentially, from Call of Duty, where you have to essentially go to a certain area and capture the points. Now, where does that sound very familiar from? That is actually literally the King of the Hill game mode, where you go to a certain area and you capture the point. The only difference is in this Hardpoint game mode, you actually stay in the same map and you don't load into a different map. There's only one round essentially, but there's multiple points that you need to capture. Whereas in King of the Hill, you capture the points, you get it to 100%, and then you move on to the next round. They're essentially the same game, and it's really annoying. I honestly hate this game mode, especially on the Anubis map. I honestly really hate that map. It just seems like a linear map to me. I know there's flanks you could take to the left and the right, but honestly, everyone just goes straight down the middle and is just a linear map, and I hate it. Anyways, Overwatch has failed to produce anything new or of substance for the past, I would say, 3 years, or as long as the Overwatch 2 has had its lifespan. Now, the original Overwatch was okay. We did have a bunch of events, and I honestly did like the loot box system back then, but that's gone now. We have a shop. And essentially, the shop is the biggest thing that Overwatch has added since the 2 was added to the title. We've lately had the Junkenstein's laboratory, which took the place of the which took the place of the Junkenstein's. I think it was actually still called Junkenstein's Lab, which was the PvE version in previous year. Or I think it was Junkenstein's Revenge, I see. But this Junkenstein's Laboratory has probably been the most fun I have been having in Overwatch in honestly years. And I know exactly why. It's because I used to play this game, this lovely and beautiful game called Battleborn. And Battleborn is essentially like Overwatch, but it's it died. Unfortunately, it died. It was a great game, but it ended up dying because it released the same time around Overwatch, or around the same time as Overwatch, and it ended up not doing as well. But the reason I'm bringing this game up is because this Junkenstein's Laboratory mode is literally just the game Battleborn. Now, Battleborn was developed by 2K Games, and 2K Games actually developed the Borderlands games. So, in the Borderlands games, there are skill trees that you earn points, and you can actually level up your character, and you can actually change how your character plays as you level up these skills. Now, in Battleborn, it's essentially the same thing, except it's limited to a multiplayer match that lasts around an hour. So you kill enemies, you kill robots, and you obtain XP and gold shards, and you level up your character, and you expand their skill tree, and you build their skill tree, and it's more like a DNA tree to the character or to the build that of your liking. And towards the end game, you are more powerful, and you have your own essentially custom character for the match. And it does seem like League of Legends, but in League of Legends, I believe you can only level up the skills themselves and not actually change how they function. Now, does this sound familiar? Well, it should, because that is exactly what Junkenstein's Laboratory is. So you load into an Overwatch game, and you are confronted with, what are they called? They're called mutations, which is essentially the same thing. I think in DNA, I think in Battleborn, they're actually called mutations as well. But once you load into the game, you're greeted with these mutations, and you essentially get to customize your character as such as was in Battleborn. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because I think Overwatch doesn't really have any identity right now. You see, I think Overwatch is only evolving by taking inspiration from other games. So obviously this Battleborn comparison is pretty obvious, but it's just another thing that the Overwatch developers ended up doing, which is similar to another game, is they actually ended up letting every character auto heal by themselves once they're out of combat for a certain amount of time. So I believe it was over a year ago they've made this change already. But in the past, if you lost health, in order to regain that health, you either had to be healed by a healer or you had to pick up a health pack. But they changed it so if you're out of combat for a certain amount of time, you automatically heal. Now that's system I first personally saw in Paladins, and once I saw it in Overwatch, I was just like, oh, well, they're just copying Paladins. Well, and it is a good mechanic, you know. But what is Overwatch and where is it going from here? I honestly don't know. I honestly just wanted to make these comparisons because the game has been a lot more fun. But I think that's only because of this one Junk and Science game mode. You know, I hate the shop. Comp isn't fun. Casual isn't really that much fun either. But this one arcade game mode is really fun, and I hope they do more of this. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I hope you all have a great day. See ya.